What's good, YouTube? It's your boy GZTV back with another video. In this video, we are going to be talking about Ozark, and in specific, the series finale. We have completed this show, watched the entire thing. It took us a couple months, a little bit into the school year. I'm happy I watched this. Obviously, you see the thumbnail. The ending wasn't super satisfactory. I can't lie to you. I'm not super happy with how it ended, but this is a really good show. I mean, we'll just, talk about this episode in general, maybe just talk about the series as a whole as well. But yeah, we're talking about ghosts here. So what has Ozark been about all of this time? I mean, now that it's over, we can look back on the story of a family who is willing to do anything to survive and could quite literally get away with murder. When Marty and Wendy choose to uproot their family and launder money for a Mexican drug cartel, they knew in their hearts that it would come with a cost. You couldn't just breeze freely through society doing shit like this, obviously. But it turned out that the cost was mostly paid by others, funny enough. Think how few people have survived the orbit of the birds. Go back over the seasons and the body count gets remarkable. You get Mason Young, Russ Langmore, Darlene Snell, Javi Elizondo. It's been a show about a privileged family who always gets out of the car accident unscathed while the other driver isn't so lucky. That shows with this episode. I feel like they were kind of doing some sort of symbolism thing, and I think it was really smart on the creators' parts to kind of show that, hey, this family can do whatever the fuck they want, And the series ends with at least two more notable deaths, Omar Navarro and Ruth Langmore, and most probably Mel Saddam. A show that has always been deeply cynical ends with one of its darkest chapters in a lot of ways, suggesting that people like the birds are untouchable. God help anyone who gets in their way. I mean, it's going to be fucking trouble for you. You're damn near never going to get it out of this alive if you're going to be dealing with the birds here. So the episode opens with a shovel tapping the muddy ground. Ruth has buried Nelson. That was the fallout from the last episode with, Rachel killing Nelson. And she has a vision of Wyatt looking on, obviously, like they're talking to their dead relatives. Wyatt kind of did it with Russ earlier on in the series. Yeah. It's the foundation of the pool he always wanted. And it kind of makes sense that it would have a body underneath it. Marty comes looking for Ruth with a threat. He will tell Camilla that Ruth killed Hobby if Ruth doesn't help Marty get his kids back. It doesn't fucking matter if he tells her or not, because we get a snitch later on in the episode, and we will discuss that momentarily. But yeah, I mean, Ruth has had to do so much just to get a damn swimming pool in her backyard, man. I mean, it's kind of insane. She's sacrificed a lot of things. She deserves a lot of shit here. She didn't deserve her fate, obviously, but yeah. It's a desperate final plea because Marty knows that Jonah still listens to Ruth, and he worked with her in this business and all that stuff. Convince him or Marty spills Ruth's secrets and she most likely dies. Doesn't matter anyway. So after Marty and Camilla go over the plan to transfer power to her and have Omar killed during a transfer, there's a scene between Ruth and Wendy at the hospital. Oh, it's really interesting, man. The power thing, and we're just gonna get Omar killed so you can take over the whole damn thing, and the FBI can do the deal with you. Ruth agrees to get the kids to see Ruth. Or Wendy, I don't know. But she needs reassurance from Wendy that if Ruth does her part, Wendy won't retaliate even if Jonah decides to go with Nathan. At least I tried, You guys shouldn't be doing stupid shit for someone that's done all this for you all these years. It can't be her fault if Jonah still insists on leaving, obviously. Wendy accepts, and they share a moment dishing about their shitty fathers and past mistakes, and it's really interesting, because this is one of the first times genuinely in the series where these two characters have a connection, and yeah, Ruth admits that she wishes she had left Ben in the facility that now houses Wendy because he'd still be alive. She admits, hey, this is partially my fault. Obviously, you were the one that kind of got him out and drove him out and got him killed, but he should have stayed in here. That's the difference between Ruth and Wendy. Ruth accepts responsibility even when she arguably shouldn't, whereas Wendy always passes the buck, Wendy never just has the pride in herself to admit when she's wrong. So, yeah. So, let's see. Ruth confronts Nathan with a toast for Ben and pushes his buttons in the process, kind of throwing some sublims. Every beating I ever got from my daddy, I knew it was my fault. Won't Nathan just beat Jonah and Charlotte? I mean, he probably will. What if Jonah is a mini Marty and Charlotte is a Wendy? Nathan Davis is a piece of human trash, using his grandchildren as weapons, and Ruth can't let this happen. And, at first when Nathan gets introduced to the show, you think, oh, well, he's pretty reasonable, He's going against Wendy, and Wendy's kind of a piece of shit person, we kind of learn. But, then you start to think about it, and it's like, wow, Wendy's a piece of shit because of Nathan, He even admits he's doing this to get back on Wendy. Ruth has had enough, so she pulls a gun, fires a warning shot, and gets Wendy to confess his ulterior motives to Charlotte and Jonah. So after a tender scene in the hospital between Wendy, Charlotte, and Jonah, beautifully played by Lenny, where Wendy admits to her role in Ben's death, and the show finally gets to the season 4 prologue. Remember the scene that opened the season 13 episodes ago? The birds are driving as Sam Cooke plays on the radio. This is when this car crash thing happened. They're joking, smiling, and discussing moving after an upcoming FBI meeting. And then a truck swerves into their lane and nearly hits them straight on. Marty swerves out of the way and the van flips several times. Marty gets out first, pulling Jonah, and then Charlotte. How the fuck did they not die here? The impact. A little bit of plot convenience there, eh? Wendy? She's not responding at first, but it turns out she's okay too. Oh, it's okay. She's slightly passed out and winded, but now she's fine, unscathed. I don't really understand that. They hug. It's a show about sudden danger. Everything seems fine, and then a truck is in your lane, But it's also a show about the birds being able to weather any storm. They're unkillable, even if that means everyone around them has to die. And the show pretty much makes it clear that these people aren't going to die. If they can survive that car crash, they're not dying. So they come home unharmed to find that Nelson is missing. Father Benitez suggests the accident could be a final warning. Wendy sees it as reassurance that they will make it out alive, and there's so many scenes where Wendy's involved with other characters, and you just see the two different perspectives, They can survive anything. She will turn out to be correct. Not because, they're just, super tough people, but they're lucky. They're privileged. That's what this show builds its base on, Marty gets Ruth to confirm that Nelson is under her new pool. He offers her a deal to escape, a new identity, a chance to leave town and start clean. We need you to get you the fuck out of here because you're going to be under the crosshairs here soon, Or she can wait till Navarro has no more power, bring her in on the operation with the FBI to keep the Bell a part of it. Later, Ruth has a vision of the Langmore men having a good day, singing The Amazing Angel from Montgomery by John Prine. Beautiful moment here. White is on the roof talking about the pool he always wanted by the lake. 3 shows up. It's a nice scene and good to see Ruth smile, She's obviously going to meet her demise in this episode, so it's nice to see her have some bright moments, before that. So, despite Rachel's guilt-driven anxiety, they go to the meeting with the FBI and Camilla at the funeral home. First, Ruth demands an apology from the FBI for what Petty did to Rachel, which she gets, and then the deal gets made. So yeah. Ruth and Belle will remain part of the operation that Camilla will lead. Looks like it's all going to work. It seems fine, Everything's going smooth. A lot of good news is coming up. So yeah. So Wendy says goodbye to Sam, who is moving to North Carolina. A funny end to a funny character. Thanks for always having my back, he says, and it makes sense that Sam is basically the only local to make it out alive. It would have been really fucked up if they killed him. Wendy basically tells Nathan that she will pay him to stay away. Research money for Ben that he can use for whatever he wants, but he doesn't get to hurt Wendy. Don't even come in contact with me. I do not fuck with you. So here's your money. Get the hell out is pretty much what she does. So the birds are smiling more here than they have in all the seasons combined, getting ready for the fundraiser. Everything is coming up for the birds. It feels like we could get a very happy ending here, but it still kind of feels like at the same time there's something looming, but for now, it looks great. So Wendy is feeling so confident that she pulls the rug out from under Schaefer. You're going to want to make a quiet exit, she says. They're pulling the voting machines in Michigan and Wisconsin. They don't need him to get Omar off the SDN list anymore because Omar isn't going to survive the night. They have him fucking set up in the middle of nowhere in the transfer van. At least the laundry list of bird sins won't include election fraud anymore. Wow, what a relief that is, So, as Omar is getting transferred and the Birds kids are discussing their future, the key scene unfolds between Marty, Wendy, Camilla, and Claire Shaw, the one variable that Marty never really considered enough. And we talked about wild cards before on this show. This was definitely a wild card in this episode. What the hell, man? She came out of nowhere here. Mr. Risk Management didn't take into account Claire's vulnerability. Camilla starts asking tough questions, and Claire's story shifts a few too many times. Camilla says that she will forgive Claire if she tells the truth now, but not if she finds it out later. Claire obviously is aware of the cartel. I feel like any normal person would be aware. If you heard the name cartel and if you knew you were dealing with them, you know, like, what the fuck you need to do. Claire cracks. It was Ruth Langmore. She fucking snitches. It's actually insane, and it's something that happens in the show that you really don't expect. Man, and everyone's stomach drops. Oh my goodness. I mean, they can't warn Ruth or everyone will die. The birds have to watch this truck come and not swerve out of the way. They have no moves to make. Marty says it simply. Anything we try to do, Wendy, it's going to be suicide. We're selfish. We have to keep ourselves alive. We're not throwing ourselves on the line for someone that's helped us for years. Wendy is scared this will be too much to bear, but Marty assures her it won't be. How big of an asshole are you? This is going to be too much for me. I can't handle this. Wendy's like starting to show some sympathy towards another character. And Marty's like, no, it's going to be fine. Like, what the fuck? You know someone's going to die and you're not doing anything about it. So, Omar's killed during the transfer just as Ruth gets home to find someone has beat her there. She knows and approaches the car slowly. She knows what's happening. She's fully aware. Someone found out. Camilla emerges from the woods with a weapon. Claire Shaw told me. Ruth is unapologetic. She doesn't give a fuck. I mean, she's still showing that attitude, you know. She doesn't turn away. She doesn't run. She doesn't beg. Your son was a murdering bitch, she growls. And then she yells, well, are you going to fucking do this shit or what? And those are her final words. The bird's legacy of death finally takes out Ruth. They will escape. I mean, they will move to the northern suburbs of Chicago. No one will know the full extent of their body count on the Ozarks. I mean, they're pretty much they're not going to be forgotten or anything, but their presence isn't going to be around anymore. No one will know how many people had to die for them to live, including almost everyone who shares the name Langmore. Every Langmore pretty much died because of the birds. Like, let's be honest here. A sad Wendy and Marty go home for one of the last times. They exchange rare I love yous. The camera pans out through broken glass and a door to reveal a figure outside. It's Mel with Ben's ashes. He broke in to get them. He seems like he might be drunk. I couldn't do my job, he says. He couldn't put all the guilt away, or whatever the fuck. And so he came to find the evidence in Ben's ashes. Marty offers payment, but Mel says, you don't get a win. World doesn't work like that. Wendy's response, since when? Yeah, that's right. Since fucking when do the Martys not win? And Jonah pulls a gun on Mel, cut to black, shot fired. Really effective stuff for the show creators here. And by the way, this is going to be a long episode, obviously, because I'm talking about the finale of a TV show that I've loved for the couple months that I was watching it. The last loose end is closed on Ozark. The birds can finally go home and leave it all behind, and it really seems like they will. They have told themselves over and over again that nothing is too costly when it comes to protecting their family. That's been the theme of the show. How far these people are willing to go to stay together, all the way to the Ozarks and back again, with so many lives destroyed along the way. What an insane journey. This show was quite incredible. I don't think the ending was quite satisfactory, which is why the thumbnail looks like that. But it was a fun ride. This is a really fun show. I mean, let's talk about it, though. I mean, are all the loose ends tied up? Think about it. I mean, with Ruth gone, the FBI may have some questions. The presumption could be that Rachel takes over the Bell and runs that operation, but she's got some heavy guilt over Nelson and will know what happened to Ruth. Feels like all of that could collapse and pull the birds back in. I don't know. Does anyone else I mean, the final scene is a bit much. The thematic thrust that the birds can do anything hits home, but Jonah killing a man who is just trying to find justice for his uncle? Does that seem in character to you? I mean, not really. Yes, they've kind of been playing Chekhov's gun with Jonah and a weapon since season 1, which is really cool, like character development that's been happening in the background. But he's probably the least likely to be a cold-blooded murderer in the Bird clan. Maybe besides Charlotte, I guess. I don't know. Felt a bit like a cheap joke to end the series. So, who's the season and series MVP for you for this? I mean, for the series, it has to be Julia Gardner. Likely headed for a deserved Grammy for her star-making role. I don't know if she ended up winning them. For the season, I think it's time to give Laura Linney and Jason Bateman some more love. They were both excellent this season, arguably doing career best work. Man, this is awesome. I really enjoyed, talking about this show with you guys. I gotta go. Gotta start, editing that Draymond video. Hopefully that'll be out in the evening sometime. I'm gonna listen to the new Drake shit. kind of. I'll give you guys a short little review of that tomorrow on the channel. I think it'll be good.